Okay, it says live. Good. What's up, guys? Welcome to tonight's stream. I know
Who's lagging? Is Gareth lagging? Let me see there. Guys, maybe just let me know who's lagging.
Okay, we're back.
Who was it?
That was me. I think that was
Was
me.
it you? And I'm just sitting here drinking on your channel.
I pushed something and I realized I wasn't on the right thing, and now I'm back. But anyway, whatever. What's up, guys? We're back again. Let's try this the second time. You know me and my internet. Also, shout out to Ed for today. We've got SkinnyBru Rugby, the legend himself. Tian has joined me on tonight's stream. We're finally doing that second stream that we said we were going to do. Better late than never, but at least we are here. SkinnyBru, Tian, welcome to today's video or stream and to the channel. Take it away. Introduce yourself for those who, I mean, a lot know who you are, but for those who don't, let them know who SkinnyBru Rugby is.
Yeah, guys, so I'm Tian. If you don't know me, I'm in Bloemfontein, in the middle of the Free State. It's very cold here at the moment, so I have my parka on. So I'm a big Stormers fan, if you didn't know that. Yes, I'm in Bloemfontein. I'm a big Stormers fan. I can get into that, the long explanation. But yeah, massive South African fan, and we can chat about any Southern Hemisphere rugby, Northern Hemisphere as well, but I love my Southern Hemisphere rugby.
Good man. I think we all do. If we're definitely born and bred in the south. What's it like being a Stormers fan over in Bloemfontein? I mean, that must be quite a challenge. I mean, there's a few diehard Cheetah fans over there.
Well, you get hate literally your whole life. Let me tell you that. Because over here, you always grow up at school, then it's this Friday thing where you can wear your Cheetahs jersey, your orange clothes and stuff like that, and there you rock up with your Stormers jersey. People do not like that.
Now, I still get a lot of
flack. Wearing a Blue Bulls jersey.
There we go. Sorry, Blue Bulls fans, and I know there are a few. Heinrich hasn't joined yet, but I'm sure he will soon. But I get the same. Being born and spending the first 8 years of my life in Cape Town, everyone says, "Why aren't you a Stormer?" And it's like I'm a Sharky all the way. So I just something I went different to my father, and I still get a lot of flack for that. It's like, why aren't you born in Cape Town? Your blood should be blue and white. And I'm just like, not sorry guys, black and white, nothing else matters in my books. But I suppose we all have different histories and pasts as to why we support, and that makes us unique as South Africans. Being different. But let's say hello to a few people here. We've got Michael Cruz here. We've got Nathan. Oh, I want to highlight that comment during the two South African legends. I like that one.
Yeah.
Grant, how's it, gentlemen? How's it, Thomas? How's it, Anya? Forgive me if I said your name wrong. We've got, Grant Swat says 42 degrees in the desert today. I'm glad we are not there. I'm happy with the cold in PE.
I'm better with the summer.
The legend who started the rugby game campaign. Rugby's here. Hey guys, just so you know, the rugby game campaign has found a developer. Fantastic.
Oh.
That's good news. Something we can cover today as well. Actually, let's do that while he's here.
Who is it?
Yeah, who's that developer? But I think it's a good thing to actually discuss, because I think a lot of these people here, the guys who watch us both and who watch rugby in general, are dying for a rugby game, are dying for something to get started and get us excited again. Because, I'm a rugby fan, but I love playing FIFA. But I know I will love playing rugby even more if I get the opportunity. And I'm sure you agree with me on that one.
Yeah, I'm tired of playing FIFA. Well, I'm a massive FIFA fan. I'm pretty good at it as well, but I'm over it now, and I'm over playing ice hockey and that type of games as well. I'm dying for a rugby game, rugby game.
That's the thing. I played the Rugby Challenge 3, I think it is, Springbok edition. And that was quite a cool game. I did enjoy it. I found it a bit complicated in certain aspects, but it was nice playing South Africa and having a New Zealand team and an Aussie team, and you could play Super Rugby. But then when I want to go play the Irish teams or England, you can see they're not the same. You can see their names are a bit odd. So yeah, it's a bit strange, but it was a nice game for me. Wait, here we go. I can't say yet, but they've said they can make a realistic game with license, and it will be on PS5, Xbox, or Xbox X Series. Oh, enough for
Yes,
those
I
who
have to
don't
get a
have.
new Xbox.
I need to get a PS5. But anyway, at least we're moving in the direction, so that's good. Tiana, we need to get big on YouTube so YouTube can pay for our new consoles.
Yeah,
But that's great news.
yeah, I think so too.
Let's hope they can get it. Um, but what's that, G-Man? Don't respect your traitor to the Stormers. There's another Stormers here. Sorry, Thomas, but unfortunately we're all different. But I think you can agree with me going back to the game. Rugby '08, EA Sports really had a good one there. And they had the good ones before that too. But EA Sports for me had the top type of game where you could play absolutely everything and it was exciting, it was fun. So yeah, I
I
think we
think I
can
played
relate to
that till
that.
2015, maybe. I played
That
08 till 2015.
I mean, it was fun, and for me, the games brings you closer to the sport. It's like for me, I used to love playing a golf game, but the PGA Tiger Woods. But then it would hook me onto golf itself. So if the more people play an actual game, you're going to get more of the people hooked on playing or watching the sport. I mean, we can't watch much NFL in South Africa. In fact, we can't watch any unless they don't even show the Super Bowl anymore. But I love playing Madden. I think it's an exciting game, but unfortunately, we can't watch it. But I want to watch it more because of the game. So I think a lot of people feel the same if they get to play it more.
Yeah, I agree fully with you. If you're gonna have a proper game, there's gonna be more people into the game as well. I think I told you this before. Who did I tell this? Like, I got into football with FIFA. I never knew the
Yeah, you
rules
did,
actually.
Tony.
I got FIFA, played the game, got all. That's how I got into football. Got my favorite teams, all that type of stuff, and that's how I got into it and understand everything. And yeah, rugby could do exactly the same thing.
I agree. He's also said, also, we've already got 3 international teams on board. Can't say who they are yet, but which have never been in a rugby game. That is interesting. Good work there, bud, and I
Russia.
hope you, Andrew. That's fantastic work. Russia could be Russia. Keep
Yeah,
up the good work, and we will definitely back you along the way because, well, as you
definitely.
know, nearly every rugby YouTuber has participated in that video we saw, which I retweeted and you did too on Twitter. So let's hope it keeps going because it needs to happen. Let's go back into rugby now. What's your thoughts on the New Zealand Super Rugby campaign?
I've enjoyed it so far. I must say, the Blues are doing what we thought they would do. I thought they're gonna be on top by this stage, and that is what is happening. The Crusaders now, they're also coming back in. I
Yeah,
did not think that the Hurricanes would be at the bottom at this stage, to be honest. I did not
I
expect that
agree.
last drop goal from the Islanders, but I'm enjoying the competition. Even with the penalties and all that stuff, I am enjoying it.
I agree. I think it's been quite a surprise as to my big thing was how quickly these teams got back into rugby so quickly. It was like they almost never stopped playing, especially these New Zealand guys, which I thought was quite exciting for us to watch. And like the Crusaders, even though they looked a bit rusty, I mean, to score a try in the first 60 seconds was pretty intense, and I think that was amazing considering they were off that first week. But the Blues have been surprising in all aspects. They've been really on form. And look, they had a tough one against the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs could have done a few things here and there in order to capitalize on a win. But overall, it's really started off with a bang. And Grant Swart says Super Rugby New Zealand is brilliant, SkinnyBru not so much, and I can fully agree with you there.
I fully agree with him as well. It hasn't been great for me. I'm in the top 10 of my own pool at least. That's something.
I'm not. I'm like almost at the bottom. I don't know. I think either I missed a week or I've just because my predictions haven't been too far off. But yesterday I'm not doing well. It's been an odd one. But what do you think? Who's been your standout players going into this? I mean, for me, I think the leadership of the All Black seniors have been pretty good. Barrett's been exciting, but everyone's been talking about Bowden Barrett. But this Atira Black, the Blues number 10, has really come on the map with quite a bang.
Yeah, I think the guy that's really standing out is Loskin Satutu, the number 8 from the Blues. He's been outstanding. He's definitely he's going to be an All Black. If he isn't, he's going to go to Fiji. I heard he's eligible to play for them, so they're probably going to pick him as soon as possible.
That's going to be a great signing.
Yeah, I think Tupaya of the Chiefs, he has had a couple of signs of being good at outside centre, but he's not living up to it. I just still want to see Fainga Anuku, that big winger from the Crusaders. I just want to see him being released properly, because the highlight reels of his schoolboy rugby I saw was immense, and I just want to see him do that in Super Rugby. It's not always the same thing, but I want to see if he can.
Do you think Dan Carter will get a chance?
I think so. I hope so. I hope so more than I think so. I would love to see Dan Carter play, but that's just probably because he's a GOAT. He's like the best player ever, the best fly half ever. But I think he'll probably get into it maybe not next week, maybe the week after. I think we might see him get a 10-minute or something like that. Oh, against the Crusaders would be epic.
That would be quite something like what we saw Bowden Barrett versus the Hurricanes. I mean, that was an amazing thing, especially when Dane Cole scored the try and they came into that huddle and brought up Barrett in. I thought that was quite classic. A good sportsmanship from both players, actually. Even Barrett was quite amusing with that. But what the Blues left wing has been a real surprise package. Yeah, Grant, I agree. There's been a lot of surprise packages coming from Super Rugby down in New Zealand. I don't know if it's because we haven't had rugby for so long, but it's really been exciting, and it's been up and down and solid hitting. Look, there's been a few. Obviously, last week's Chiefs game with the Blues was a bit messy because of the weather, but it was still intense and exciting for us as fans to watch. I mean, that first week for me was just electric. I mean, I was all talk for the Blues Hurricanes Sunday. But then the Highlanders game and the Chiefs stole the show. I mean, what we saw from these two teams was brilliant. And then Gatlin Jr. kicking out his dad, I mean, that was just remarkable.
Who would have thought the week or the whole competition would start with something like that? Like I said, I don't think anyone backed the Highlanders to win. And I don't think anyone put money on Bryn Gatlin winning it, because he wasn't even supposed to be in the match day squad. He was
like a last-minute selection or something. Yeah, there we go.
And then he wins it against his dad's team. How you write this type of stuff for a type of movie or something?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely crazy, and it was a good laugh. But on that game, I mean, it was good to see Damien McKenzie back for the Chiefs. I know he's been back for a while, but it was good to see him take quite a bit of leadership. I did feel that the teams that have played against him have been really secure in watching him, so he doesn't get those breaks like he's been getting in the past to obviously protect them. But he's really, I think it's an interesting and it's a scary thing with New Zealand rugby is the depth that they have. I mean, you've now got a battle of the fly halves in Richie Mwanga, Bowden Barrett, and now Atira Black. Then you've got a battle of the fullbacks, Geordie Barrett, Damien McKenzie, and even we have to put Bowden Barrett in the mix here because he's still currently playing fullback. I mean, if you had a choice, who would you pick as your fly off and your fullback for the All Blacks if you were selected. We will get to the European teams now, but I want to talk about rugby that's actually happening first.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a difficult one. I'd probably go with the Mo'unga Barrett thing as it is at the moment, with Mo'unga and Jane Barrett at fullback. Because Mo'unga has been very good as well.
He
you
has.
can't just discard him and say nothing about him. He's been very good.
No,
If
yes.
Black can play as well as he wants to, Mo'unga's doing the same thing. So, yeah, Barrett, his game management, especially at the back, he's never from his spot. He's always there.
Yeah.
So he's still a very good fullback, even though he's probably the better of the two fly halves. If you have to compare him to Mo'unga, he's probably the better fly half. But he's an exceptional fullback, and yeah.
No, I agree. I think
if you had to remove those two, who would you pick then?
That's an interesting one. Okay, I'll answer that question then. Well, fullback for me, I think I struggle between Geordie and Damien McKenzie. I think I'd probably go Damien McKenzie, put Geordie maybe at the bench, no, either the bench or on wing. But then there's so many wings the All Blacks have too. And I'll probably give Atira Black maybe a chance because at least he's coming up the ranks. For me, with Richie, Baird, Bowden, I mean, both are brilliant, like you say. But I don't want to lose out the opportunity of what they have in New Zealand with Damien McKenzie and Geordie Barrett. So it's a tough one. But I think they do have a winning wicket with Richie and Bowden at the moment. I mean, you've got a backup solid kicker too for Bowden, who's not the best of kickers. And then you've got two phenomenal players leading charge of an All Black team that is just absolutely outstanding. So I think it's
Havili and Jordan is
there we go.
As well.
Johnny Blaze has just said Will Jordan and David Havili. So there we go. Let's just check if you can't. From Foo Fighters for Long says stand-up players for each team. For me, Blues is Hoskins, Tutu. You mentioned them. Yes. Chiefs, Damien McKenzie. I'll agree with that. Highlanders, Mish Hunt. Hurricanes, can you say that word? Ngani Lampe?
Well, let me just... Laumape.
There we go.
I'm on my cell phone, so I can't open both.
I know you're bloody good with your commentary names. And then Crusaders, Cullen Grace. There we go.
Yeah, Cullen Grace is exceptional.
I
have to practice those a lot. I have to tell you, like, Fainga Anuku, do you know how long I had to practice that one?
I can imagine. Just today. No, well done to you on that one. But it would be. It's an interesting lineup for over there in New Zealand, and I think it's really cracking what they've produced, considering that we haven't seen rugby for so damn long. So well done to them. If we move on briefly to Europe, and it's a question that we obviously get asked as South Africans, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. And I know we've spoken it briefly on your channel, but let's bring it over here because so much has changed since then, which is absolutely crazy. Springboks, let's go with provincial Super Rugby teams. Super Rugby, should they stay or should they move to Pro 14 to make it Pro 18? What's your take? If you were in charge right now, how would you select it? Would you keep it at both or would you split it up? Yeah.
Yep.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, you are putting me on the spot, Gareth. That is putting me on the spot. Listen, I told you before. Yeah?
Okay, yeah. Now go for it.
I told you before, I love the Super Rugby. If anything, I prefer South Africa stay in the Super Rugby. If there's other options, yes, you can evaluate it, but Super Rugby is the one to go with. But here's the thing. At the moment, it looks like the bond between the countries isn't good anymore. It looks like they don't want us anymore. It looks like there's this thing of South Africa should move on. And if there is opportunities to go north and make money at it, because the Super Rugby isn't actually making a lot of money for South Africa. you should probably take it. I mean, the Pro 14 is very underrated. A lot of people probably don't watch it as much as
I
they
agree with
should.
you. I agree.
It is very good. It's a very good competition. It gives you a chance to get a lot of squad depth, which we probably don't have at the moment anymore in South Africa. We had that for a long time, but our squad depth kind of fell away because we had money restrictions and stuff like that. If we did go north, we would have that opportunity to have squad depth because they do play frequently, travel a lot, play their first team and second team a lot. So that's an opportunity. But if they still wanted us in the south, I'd stay in the south.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, Two Cents Rugby said to me like the New Zealand media is very negative towards South Africa that he's read, which is quite strange because us down here, I mean, we've got a lot of praise for the All Blacks up there, and as a fan, I've got a lot of time for New Zealand. I think they're a great rugby team. I've got a lot of respect for them. I love the provinces. I love Super Rugby the way it is. Well, not the way it is. I want Super Rugby to change, but I think it's a phenomenal tournament. And if you want to be the best, you've got to play the best. And yes, we are currently number one and we're world champions, but we still need to prove that we're a dominant force. And I mean, All Blacks have proved it time and time again. Crusaders have proved it time and time again. In order for our SA teams to improve, they need to continue playing them, in my opinion. However, what I would agree with is I would keep our top teams in South Africa. Give New Zealand the reins. Let them choose the way they want the tournament. Maybe kick out a team, which will be tough. But 3 teams in South Africa, and we send whatever team gets kicked out over to Pro 14 and maybe include another one. Because if we can bring in more teams in South African rugby and send them overseas, we're just increasing the chance of creating more depth, giving other players exposure to play overseas. I mean, I'm in local radio in South Africa, in PE, and we've spoken to a few of the Kings players, the young ones, and a lot of them have said you don't know how to play the sport until you've played overseas because it's so cold, because the crowd is so much closer to you. It's smaller stadiums, but the crowd is still electric. And they say the pressure on that and what they've learned has been remarkable. So you've got a team like the Griquas that haven't done bad in the Currie Cup. Why not send them over? Give them a few boosts here and there. Send them over and develop. Look, I'm not saying send our weak teams, but send a few strong SA baby teams that haven't had an opportunity, or form them maybe with the Kings or something, and give us an opportunity to create depth, because a lot of our stars that we watch in the Springboks or who play for the provincial teams come originally from these smaller teams that we always aren't aware of. So if we, before they go run away to a Sharks or to the Bulls or to the Stormers, whoever it may be, send them overseas, give them an experience, and maybe they won't hop to the Sharks or whoever it may be so quickly. And then we're growing our own locally based teams. Sending more teams overseas to Europe means that they won't jump ship to teams overseas. They'll stick to their South African roots. I don't know. That's just my fifth or 2 cents worth on that topic, because I think it could definitely help develop South African rugby.
I think the same thing. I mean, with the Cheetahs. With the Cheetahs, they brought in a lot of young stars now back from France. A lot of good, talented guys that were actually here in Grey College. A lot of them actually came back now to join the Cheetahs because they said they actually have the chance now to experience European rugby, which they wanted to experience. That's why they moved there. They get to experience that. They get the chance now to play with Ruan Pienaar and Francois Steyn as well. They want to experience this type of rugby. So there's a good market actually with the Kings and the Cheetahs if you market it well to schoolboys. Like, listen, you get the chance to play in Europe, which you don't get in other places. You can still live at home, but you get this chance to play in Europe. But the most difficult part to me is if we go international, if we move to Europe with our domestic teams, we're going to have to move to Europe with the Springboks as well. Because I can't see how our provinces or our franchises go to the north, and the Springboks still play against New Zealand and Australia, and that's the one thing that I've been tripping up about. I don't know which one would be better. The Six Nations is good. Honestly, we'll do well there. It's a great competition,
Yeah.
but we won't be facing the All Blacks all the time.
That's the thing, and that's the debate that everyone's talking about. And for me, the Rugby Championship is such an important part of South African rugby history because of the brilliant rivalry of South Africa and New Zealand, and even the history that we have with Australia. And I won't count out Argentina too because they've given us a good run for the money as well. But we're not quite sure with the pandemic what Argentina's place in Sanzor could be
We've lost
in
a
the
lot
future.
of big players this year.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit itchy on that one. But as far as I don't want to see, I like the idea of Six Nations, I will admit, and I think it will be great. But there's so much history in Six Nations rugby. To invite the Springboks into a Northern Hemisphere historic tournament is just going to make it a bit iffy, and it's going to be like, oh, it's just for money. Keep it the way it is. Focus on maybe provincials going over one team or two and see what happens. But for me, it's a tough debate. But I would be happy in agreement with what you said to keep playing the All Blacks. I mean, I think it's just an important rivalry. Unless they bring back old school tours, like we've mentioned before. How's it, Ryan? I think it's just going to be important for us to continue that and to see where things go going future. Let's see what the guys have to say here. John Blaze says, as a Kiwi, I still want my Safa brothers still around. I love when the Kiwis teams play the likes of the Stormers Sharks. I think we can relate on that one. It's always a good thing to wake up to. I think it's awesome playing in New Zealand. Foo Fighter says, the only reason I choose to move to SA teams to Europe is to watch Sharks versus Leinster. Oh, that could be a good game. I'd be interested to see that. He's also gone in and said the only way I change Super Rugby is bring the Cheetahs back to replace the Jaguars. I get your point there, and I think it'll be great for the Cheetahs, but I want less teams. If the Jaguars, they're looking good. We can't write them off. I mean, they were in the finals last year, but for me, with the current situation of where Argentina rugby is at, I don't see them going to be in the Super Rugby. I would take them away with the Sunwolves, go back to the old school type rugby, and see what happens. Maybe even lose the Rebels and go back to 4 teams apart. And then it's 4-8-12 and back to Super 12, and it's back to that old school exciting rugby. I just think that will be exciting. Just a comment on New Zealand media. Johnny Blaze says, ridiculous, mate. Always spinning stories up out of the thin air. It's a slow day in the office, so they turn something so small into insignificant, into some big, huge story. I think there's a lot of truth in that, so that's pretty interesting. But it's a tough one. I think we'll be debating that till the end of time, and until something happens. Saru have not said anything about it, and we'll have to wait and see on that topic. I know with you being over at Bloom, you won't know much about the Kings story, but what's your take on the Kings in Super Rugby in Pro 14? Do you think they should continue, or should they be kicked out because of the results, or politics in sport is destroying the game?
I think you hit the nail on the head there with the last sentence. Politics in sport is ruining the game there, because they have, like I said previously, they have a brilliant opportunity to have the game go into Europe from a South African perspective, and the EP have immense talent over there, immense talent. Some of the best players we have in South Africa come from there, but at the moment, with what they did over there, with all their management and all that stuff, just messed it up even further. I don't think you can still fix it. I honestly believe can be fixed. Give it a proper year or two, but I don't think the people want to wait another year or two. They want them to be good next year. And I don't
Yeah.
know if that's going to be really, if that's going to happen, unless South Africa starts doing something where they start distributing their best players kind of in the different franchises, like it was always done in New Zealand. I don't know if it still is done, or if I understood that correctly. Some of the Kiwi guys can maybe explain it to me properly. But as I got it, your best players kind of was scattered about everywhere in your different franchises. Literally, the Kings just need one or two very good players, and they can do it because they do have a lot
Yeah.
of potential. I mean, they're always in the game for 60 minutes. Always in the game for 60 minutes. That last 20 minutes, that's the problem, usually. So
Yeah.
you can't tell me that that's just a management issue. Understand? That
I
is
agree.
something on the field as well. So
No.
yes, they don't get paid all the time and all that type of stuff. That's the management stuff. And
Yeah.
SA Rugby taking over, that's has to happen. That's exactly what had to happen.
I agree. And the whole rumor talk of the whole Kings thing is that company that owned the Kings weren't rugby people. And I mean, that's a first mistake. You can't have business people who don't know the sport running a rugby franchise. I mean, that should be errors for everyone. So I think SA Rugby might do a few things, but someone made a comment the other day saying this is the third strike, or two strikes, you're out. But third opportunity, so let's use it and see what you can do. Grant Swart says politics have always been a part of the sport. It should be used to help the game in some way. Yes, it should be, but it's not, unfortunately. In South Africa, we've got a lot of iffies and offies, and I don't want to get into that because it's obviously an iffy topic. But if it works, great. Politics could
Yes.
be involved. But if you're throwing players in who aren't worthy of a position, then it's not. You're destroying careers, and there are a number of players out there whose careers have been destroyed because they've either been thrown in too early or kicked out, and then they go overseas and become the next CJ Stander or Clyde Rathbone before he got injured, and the list goes on. Kevin Peterson, another one, and we know the reason for that as well in cricket, though. But so yeah, it can help. It should help the game, but
Yeah, it
unfortunately at
should
this
help.
stage,
It's supposed to be helping.
yes,
I'm also not going to go into it too much, but like I understand it should be helping, and I understand that
yes,
it should be helping, but it's not what it's doing.
it's not, and I think
In
that's
like with the Kings especially, you can see that's not what's happening.
That's the thing, and I fully agree with you. And that's the thing with the Kings. There was just too many things being said, and we can go into the Watson debate, and we all know what a stuff that was. And yeah, anyway, before our bloods boil on this topic, let's continue in the sport of rugby. Anything specific you want to chat about in the media that's come up from a rugby point of view, like the date? There's talk of us starting in August. What do you think we need to do differently in Super Rugby SA in order to try and spice a tournament up to keep it into the level of intensity and excitement that we're seeing in New Zealand? And should we incorporate it? And that's my question. Should we incorporate Super Rugby and Curry Cup and form some type of tournament that could just include a little bit of everyone?
Look, first thing, I think we should spice things up a little bit. I don't think we should spice it up like the Aussies are. I think
I
they
agree.
are going a little bit too far with their rules. Look, if you test a couple of them out, that's fine, but I think it's going to be a little bit confusing for some of the players and some of the referees in the
Yes.
start because they have a new kickoff place when you press the ball on the line and all that stuff, and your 50-22 rule and your 22-50 rule and all that new stuff that I don't
Yeah.
agree with fully. I see the reasoning behind it, but I don't think that would help so much. I can see what New Zealand are doing. Their penalties in the rucks or the enforcement of the ruck rule is working. I do think it's working. A lot of people are frustrated with all the penalties. You should just see it as, yes, there is going to be a lot more penalties because
Yeah.
rules are
Good
being
point.
enforced now. So I think when I watch the games, it feels quicker. It does feel quicker because you only get 4 scrums. I think 4 scrums maximum a game. There's still space for the scrums. There's still place for it. It's still important in the game, but it's not the whole time pausing the game. So I think the game's still fast. I enjoy it. I would like South Africa to try out doing the same thing with that rule, but not all of this Aussie stuff. The rules that they brought in, I think, might take away from their tournament that is starting up next Friday. I think that might take away a little bit of the viewing. Hey, I could be completely wrong, and maybe 2 weeks from now I'm going to tell you like that was the most entertaining running rugby I've ever seen, but I'm doubting it. But hey, that's what I think. For the Currie Cup thing, I think that would be interesting. I just think guys like the Pumas and the Griquas and those teams might be a bit out of depth with the Super Rugby teams. And one of the things that make the New Zealand competition so good is that you never know who's going to win. That's what. Yeah. That's what makes it so good and makes the viewership so good. If you're going to watch the Sharks playing the Pumas or the Sharks playing the Griquas,
I'm with you.
Who's going to win. Understand? That's going to take away from the viewership and the enjoyment of the game. Get 100%. Me 2 good games on a weekend instead of 5 mediocre games.
Fully agree, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there with regards to watching New Zealand rugby. That's the beauty. It's not like you're going to see, jeepers, we're going to lose this weekend. It's like that's why everyone's complaining about the SkinnyBru. We're not sure what the hell we're going to pick, because all of a sudden the Blues are now the top team in the log, whereas 3 years ago they were bottom of New Zealand. So it's that's exciting, and I think you're right. For South Africa, stick with the Super Rugby, the 4 Super Rugby teams. Maybe incorporate the Cheetahs and do something with them, because they're just as good. And I know Pro 14, there's rumors of it starting August, September or something, but I don't think with our whole COVID issue, I don't see us moving into that situation just yet. So I don't know if we're going to be allowed to travel, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'd love to see the Cheetahs back in, and then we've got 5 teams. Boom, we've got a nice little tournament to experience. But going on to your point about the rules and the penalties over in New Zealand, I mean, that was one of the questions I think 2 Cents first asked me. What was your thought on the penalties? And I honestly said I wasn't aware of it on the game, because it was, although there was a lot of stop-starts, maybe it was because rugby was back, I didn't pick it up. It didn't bother me. The game was still fast. They knew what they were going to make, whether it was a run or a scrum, whatever, line-out kick. They knew what they were doing. And so when I saw the 21 penalties and the other side at just as many, I was quite shocked. But the game goes quite quickly, so I think Australia's going to be interesting how they're going to adapt, and they're also following the World Rugby rules as well, so it's going to be very complicated, but we'll have to wait and see how they adapt, and we'll have to see how South Africa adapt, because it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's if we start up, man. I'm really doubting it, hoping for the best. As a massive fan, I'm hoping for the best, and for the good of South African rugby. It's gonna be very, very bad for a whole everything. It's gonna be bad for schoolboy rugby, varsity rugby, your domestic level guys, your franchise level guys, your Springbok level guys. It's gonna be bad all round if we don't have any form of rugby this whole year. So I'm hoping for something.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be interesting to see. But the problem we're facing in South Africa is that, you know what, there's talk of the Rugby Championship being hosted in Australia or New Zealand. I reckon it should be in New Zealand, with the whole COVID-19 being reduced quite a lot there. Obviously, they've had the few cases here and there coming up, but it's still being handled well. Focusing in one province and do the tournament. But our problem is, we played no rugby. We play in August, maybe. August, September. Okay, cool. But when we got Australia is going to be 1 to 2 months ahead of us. New Zealand's going to be 3 months of rugby ahead of us. We're going to be undercooked and extremely rusty. I mean, our boys haven't even started training yet. Let's talk of that maybe next week or the week after. That's my worry, is that if we get thrown back in to rugby championship, which is a possibility, and I think they're going to do whatever they can to try and form a team. And we got a team, of course, but we stand a very strong chance of getting smashed by the All Blacks because of that. And I mean, I know people go, oh, this and this because South Africa don't deserve to. But what people must realize also is we haven't played, and I'm concerned it's going to give us a knock if we go play strong and we undercooked.
Yeah. Well, look, to me it's like this. I'd rather have the Boks play this year after having no game time whatsoever actually in a provincial level, just so they actually have some time together. Yes, it's bad for your rankings. Yes, it's bad for your overall ratings and looks bad on paper, all that stuff. But it is better for us going into maybe the Lions tour if we had 4 games where, yes, we lost maybe. But I think it's better for us to have those 3 games. They could maybe say something like, this isn't going to reflect on the world rankings or something like that, but I think there's going to be a lot of controversy around that.
There's no way that's going to happen.
The World Rugby is protecting South Africa and that type of stuff. But honestly, I don't care where we are in the world rankings. It's not important.
As long as we play.
At the end of the day, the most important thing is if we get some play time, if we get some more players in, and how the well-being of rugby is in our country. And getting game time is probably the most important thing.
100%. Let's just go back to the floor. How's it, Declan? How's it, Joshua? Welcome. Good to have you guys here. Herman Becker sal jy asseblief 'n sharp wys. How's it, bud? Okay, so Foo Fighters has a question for us. What are each of your favorite Northern Hemisphere teams, club or international? Let's go one club and one international. You first.
If I had to list my club, people are going to hate me for it.
Go for it.
I used to be, or I'm probably still a big Saracens supporter.
Hey, they had a few Springboks. I don't blame you. Yeah, there we go. I don't blame you at all for that.
I mean, Jock Burger played there. From a Stormers point of view,
Skulky played there.
Skulk Burger played there as well.
But didn't Bucky? No, he played too long. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
I'm big on them, so.
And isn't Barrett the captain of Saracens, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes,
Barrett used to play for the Sharks, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a half South African.
The South African would love the team, so from growing up. But people would hate me for it at the moment. It's not for those reasons, guys. Okay. And then internationally, who doesn't love Ireland? I mean, I'm a big Ireland fan. I've always been. So.
Yeah, my team, I'm also Irish on that one. Scotland by heart because my dad was born in Scotland, so I would pick them first and then Ireland. I've got a very soft spot for both teams, and whoever wins, I'm the happiest person ever. As far as provincial, Leinster rugby all the way. I've thoroughly enjoyed them, watching them. Brian O'Driscoll, one of the greats and one of my favourite players watching as a kid, played there. My favourite. I love the colour blue, even though I don't support the Blue Bulls. But I've always liked Leinster rugby, and Johnny Sexton's played there. I've got a soft spot for the Irish, so for me, that would be my team. Premiership, I'd probably follow you there, and go Saracens or Sale Sharks maybe, just because of the Sharks.
Sale Sharks is the South African team. It is the Sharks, man.
I mean, they stole Aka van der Merwe, all the De Pree brothers at one point. I mean, Fafi plays there, so I'll go with the Sale Sharks because of the technically the second Natal Sharks team. But that's a good question, Foo Fighters. I enjoyed that. He says he's Ulster all the way, so it's a good one. Nothing wrong with that. Isaac Smith, Tiny 75. Welcome, guys. Thomas says, he says, I personally don't think SA will be added into the rugby. What? add into the rugby championship? Because I think New Zealand and Oz know that we are undercooked. Okay, that's pretty much what we've said. I think we will be added. There's no ways they will kick us out on that one because of the
Yeah.
rivalries. I get what you're saying though. Maybe they will do their own Bledisloe. Look, if South Africa aren't fit enough, then there is possibility of exactly that, and then they'll just go ahead with Bledisloe. But as far as rugby championship, they will want us as much as we want to join them. So it could be interesting. Declan says, could you imagine SA not playing a game before going into a Lions tour? Do you think that could happen?
Yes, I do think that could happen.
I think
I
it could,
honestly think
sadly.
that is on the cards. I honestly think that is on the cards at the moment. I
Just
think,
imagine that.
yeah, it's probably on the cards that we will probably maybe only see rugby next year. Like I said, I don't want to talk like that because I really want to see some South African rugby. But how things are going, it doesn't look like it's going to be good for us. But I think, like they're also talking with the Lions tour, might be moving as well. There's a lot of
Yeah.
speculation around
So a
that
lot
as
of
well.
strong talk about
Hopefully,
that.
actually, that happens. I think at the moment we probably hope for that. It's just going to be bloody cold on this Bloemfontein stadium. Or wait, they're not playing yet. Well, it's going to be bloody cold on any stadium if they're
Anyway,
playing in November. But yes,
now it's going to be interesting, and I think there is a strong possibility, unless we can figure out a plan where the Springboks can maybe escape and fly over into a safe area, if you know what I mean, over New Zealand, Australia, and build up a training squad, and Jacques can coach them into something big. Then maybe that's possible that we can have a rugby championship. But it's looking we could be looking that way when we might not see rugby, and that will be sad in a way because I want to play. I want the Springboks of last year to play against this Lions team. And one thing's
yeah,
for sure, I am petrified of what Gatlin's going to select because Europe has got some freaking solid players. I mean, you got Tide for long, you got Owen Farrell. Whether you love or hate him, he's still damn good. You got, I mean, just quality in the formations of. I mean, Tom Curry, who's coming up in England, has just been remarkable. Wales have just been. I mean, with the legend of uh, Alan Wynne Jones. I mean, come on, there's just experience and quality within all nations, and then you can't forget Scotland. I mean, Stuart Hogg is a legend in his own right, one of the best full backs in world rugby. So I think they're going to produce something really ridiculously powerful and strong. And I'm nervous of them. And I know I've missed some solid players out there, but that's the scary part is the depth within Europe. So I want a full, strong Springboks team that we can
yeah.
really take on the Lions and not have this walkover where they clap us 3-0 just because we are undercooked and rusty, because that would be sad. Right,
Yeah,
there's a question.
I think we're going
Yeah,
to
carry
get a
on.
big team from them. I think we're going
No,
to get
sorry,
a big
carry.
team from them. I mean, we played them in the semi. We beat Wales, got England in the final. It's two teams that are pretty angry at South Africa at the moment and want to
Especially
prove a
Wales.
point. They want to prove a point. So we're getting an angry Lions team to come back to play us. So I'm expecting big things. I think it's going to be a massive tournament. It's the same thing that happened last time they were here. We beat them in the World Cup. We beat them in the previous World Cup. They came here, got very angry. They had some revenge to prove.
Precisely.
There was something to prove. So it's going to be big. So
Yeah,
hopefully we get something.
I agree with you. It's 100% spot on. Um, yeah, Eric Quinn says I'm back in the Lions to win the series next year. Hey, anything's possible. I won't argue with that one. Foo Fighters is asking some solid questions tonight. If you could choose any club to play any international team, who would they be? Sorry for so many questions. I'm thinking so much. Hey, you're keeping the conversation flowing here, and it's diverse and different, so keep it going. I'll take this one first. If I could choose any club play, I want to see the Crusaders
Damn
play.
it. That's mine.
So, the Crusaders play a team like South Africa, Australia, England, Ireland. Crusaders play a very dominant international team, whoever it may be,
I'd love to
because
see.
Yeah?
I'd love to see like the Crusaders play an All Black team minus
Oh,
Crusaders.
shit.
Understand?
That
That
could
would
be a
be
good game.
massive.
Just imagine that, guys. Crusaders versus the All Blacks. I mean, that could be something quite solid to watch and witness. So that's a good question. I'd probably go Crusaders versus an international team, maybe South Africa, but then I'm biased. So maybe Crusaders England. I mean, that could
Yep.
be very interesting to watch. You got the team that were in the final of the World Cup. And that could be a tough game, and you can't write off the Crusaders. They can definitely beat an international team.
Yeah, definitely. They could probably beat most international teams. I'd go as far to say if they were internationally ranked, they'd be like top 5, maybe. I'd go that far to say it, man. Like,
I'm
they are
not going to argue with
very
you there.
good.
And Joshua Moman says, who do you think is going to be the captain of the Lions next year?
Captain of the, I think Atoje. I think it.
Yeah,
I really think he's going to be. Alan Wynne Jones, I think, is probably going to be a bit too old to get a starting spot. You never know, but I think he's probably going to be a very, very experienced guy to bring off the bench. But I think probably Atoje. I don't think Farrell is going to be the captain because in these Lions battles, it's a very heated affair, and you need a guy that kind of is cool, calm, and collected. Itoje, when he was a bit younger, he wasn't that guy, but he really developed as a player.
I agree. I think he's really been a force for England at the moment and is showing the world what he can do. I originally thought maybe Farrell or Alan Jones, but then looking at England and how upcoming Maro's been and quite a force, I think he's the best choice for Gatlin. And I know he's thrown his name in the hat, so it could be interesting to see what could come about that. So I will back you there and say Toja. I see Erin also says has to be a Toja, although not that she said all Farrell. But it could be interesting. A few guys here talking on that question of provincial team versus internationals. Erin says she would go with Saracens versus the All Blacks. Thomas says Crusaders versus Fiji. I think Crusaders would dominate that one. But
it would be very interesting. It would be very interesting.
That's true. Declan's gone on and said, yeah, you need a guy who is respected by other teams to captain. Respected by other teams to captain, yeah. And he says, sorry, that ain't Farrell. There's a fair point there. I think a lot of people have kind of lost it a bit with Farrell, with the way he gets tackled. Have you seen Andrew Ford's new video on Farrell? And if you haven't, I would recommend it. It is phenomenal. I want to do a react to it because I just think it's absolutely shocking at how many times that man has gotten away. But yet, when one guy flattens him from Argentina, he gets the red. So
or with the USA as well. The USA guy got the red as well, I think.
It's crazy how he's gotten away with it. I mean, it's a strategy that he's used, and I know one of the refs backed him on it and said it's going to be it's legal, and it was given by actual World Rugby, if I'm not mistaken. It's in the book, but I mean that's a clear shoulder charge in some of the ones he's done. So the fact that he's gotten away, but yeah, for those who haven't seen it, go check out Andrew Ford. I mean, he's got a brilliant video on there, and I'll react to it soon. But yeah, that was interesting. Where do you see Australia in the next 5 years? Joshua says. Ish. I think we spoke about this on your channel. I think we all want Australia to do well. It all depends with management. If they can get things going, if they can control it better. They've got the potential, they've got the depth, they've got it all. They just need to work together.
Yeah, and I mean, Rennie is bringing in this thing of the eligibility rule that might be adjusted a bit. I think that is something that Australia really needs at the moment. So I think that's very good for them.
Yes.
I think I've said it previously that if your international team is going to do better, your other franchises are going to do better as well, or people are going to be more interested in the sport itself, which makes your sport better. It doesn't mean your teams are going to be playing better, but it means the Wallabies itself is probably going to be better, which brings more attraction to the game. And I think that's exactly what needs to be happening. And it's what happened in South Africa. I mean, all our best players are internationally playing, and our second string players are probably our Super Rugby players. But it gives us a lot of depth in that way. And Australia needs that. They don't have that much depth that they used to always have.
Yeah, and it's always healthy if we look at All Black Rugby, All Black Rugby, Super Rugby, and Rugby Championship to have a strong, healthy Wallaby squad. And I mean, if we go back in the days of '99 when they won the World Cup, it was just remarkable. The fear of Australia, as well as the All Blacks, as well as the Springboks, it's just competitive. So for me, if we can see these guys really come back and create something good, it will be great to watch because they have such great talent, from youngsters to old guys or experienced guys who can offer advice. But I think they need a full-on clean slate. I know Michael Hooper is the captain. There's talk maybe he might not be, but I would regroup the whole team, create the leadership, as well as your captain. It just makes sense, and then maybe start from scratch and see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, they aren't in a very dark place. Yes, we have said they are in problems, but it's not like they can't fix it. It's not an unfixable situation. Yes, they have lost a bit of traction in Australia itself, but I think most of us, I mean, I would watch a good Wallaby team. So they still have traction internationally. They can still use that. And they still have good young guys coming through. They're not in a dark place where they can't get back from, but changes need to happen. If to come back to the guy's question, if they made no changes whatsoever, 5 years from now, 9th, 10th place in overall rankings. I don't even know where they are now, and probably already 7th or 8th.
Yeah, they are at the worst at the moment currently.
Yeah, they're gonna be even lower if they stay like they are now. 5 years from now, Fiji and those guys will be outranking them easily.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that it's just we're gonna have to wait and see. Only time will tell, as much as we want it to happen. Another one. If you could choose any non-SA player to play for the Springboks, who would they be? Oh.
I need to find a weak spot.
I'm going to go for some non-SA player to play for the Springboks.
Obvious choice. He's probably the obvious.
Yeah, choice. That's an obvious choice. Mate, no, actually, I take that back. I'll take Conor Murray from Ireland. I've always rated him highly, and I think he'll be a great scrum half for us. I mean, I know we currently have a phenomenal depth of scrum halves in South Africa, but I think he would be brilliant.
Yeah. Well, like I'm trying to think, like, would I replace our props? No, I won't. Would I replace our hookers? No, I won't. Would I replace our locks? No, I won't.
Okay, good
loose
point.
Forwards? No, I'm fine there with loose forwards. Number 10 is probably, yes, we have depth, but we could probably have a little bit better depth if I have to be honest. I mean, we have Bosch and Willemse and those guys and Yankees and those guys, but none of them are Pollard's level, understand? Yes, Bosch is pushing for it. He is pushing hard for it, but I'd probably go searching for a good number 10 internationally, and Barrett isn't that good at kicking at goal, so I'd probably go with someone like Murunga or someone like that.
I'd argue with you there. I think that's a spot-on analysis actually, because it before Pollard we definitely had a problem in our fly-off situation. We couldn't pick it up. After the Mornay Staines, it was who could it be? Yankees, yes, but he was only good in the Lions jersey and not really great in Springbok. Then he had a few good times. So I agree with your choice on that one. So yeah, no, it's a good one. Blizzard B, welcome, bud. Evening to you too, my friend. I like that Johnny Blaze. No weak spots in the Springbok team. I agree with you
Yeah,
there.
not a lot. Really, not a lot.
We're looking good. We're looking good. Artie Xavier in the back row with Sia and Peter Steph the toy. That is scary. Grant, I think you've got a good one there. That could Artie
That's a good one.
Xavier could be flipping good. Because there's always a debate on who should be number 6, 7, and 8 there, but that would be
But would I replace
quite solid.
Dwayne? I don't think so.
What's this about the TV debate? Thomas says, but there's. Oh, yeah, okay, I won't argue with you there. Dwayne Vermeulen, another legend on that one. Um, Thomas says, but there's also a TV debate cause image Bokke playing bad rugby. With the viewership will go down, so you never know because you don't want to lose. Oh, you're saying in the future. Now, the Springboks are playing good rugby at the moment, so I don't see it being a problem with that with regards to
Yeah.
television. Yes, it could be a problem if we become shocking, but let's face it, if we play in the Rugby Championship and we are poor, it's because of rustiness as well. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Aussie have picked up a great coach. I think the All Blacks will have to battle on their hands. I don't know much about Dave Rennie. I've heard good things for him with Glasgow over there, but I'm not too familiar. But hopefully he does do good.
Yeah, he's a pretty good coach. He's a guy that he's a lot like Rassi, where he kind of comes into a team, changes things about. If you're not the right guy for the job, doesn't mean it's Rassi sees it like this. If you're the best player, doesn't mean you're the right player. Rainey is a lot the same. He likes pushing for changes as well. I think he could make a couple of changes as well. So they got a good coach. Does it actually happen in Australia? Because they are very set in their ways in Australia. That's the one part where their real downfall is, where they don't really want to change stuff. So good coach.
Solid one. Solid one. Nathan says, SkinnyBru and Gareth, what do you think would happen if Fiji got a top-class coach like Jamie Joseph, Eddie Jones, and Rassi? Because they already look dangerous with the ball in hand. I think he's spot on there. I think they could be an absolute dominant force if they had the right management system in order to control their discipline as well. Fiji, I've rated them highly in all aspects, and I think if they were given it much freedom as what we've seen Japan being given, they could be just as good as Japan, if not, in fact, I mean this, probably better.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Look, the thing about Fiji, I don't think the coaches have been its biggest problems. I think they do have okay-ish coaches or good coaches. They don't have brilliant coaches. I think their biggest problem is not having their players available to them when they play international games. And that's the biggest issue they have. If they could sort that out, they could play brilliant rugby, but it's not that easy. They don't have the money, they don't have the means to actually do that. And that's the actual Achilles heel to them. That's the thing that's actually keeping them down. So yes, I think with Rassi Erasmus or those guys, they'll be brilliant for a tournament or something like that. But you need to have the constant same guys coming in. It shouldn't be a turnover of guys the whole time. The good guys not coming back the whole time. But I think they do pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. Chester says, this is a good one. I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on this one. Question for both of you guys. What is your favorite women's sport? He's getting into netball. I'd probably, jeepers. I actually enjoy women's cricket. I thoroughly enjoyed watching our Protea ladies play a bit. Hockey's not too bad. Netball, yeah, but probably cricket. But I'm biased. I love cricket.
Yeah. No, I'm not a big cricket fan. Sorry, Gareth and everyone else.
No worries.
There's not
many who's big rugby fans. Okay, fair enough.
I'm a massive T20 fan, but yeah, if I had to pick a women's sport, I do like the women's sevens. I really honestly do like the women's sevens. Good. It's not just me saying this because I'm the rugby guy and that type of stuff. I honestly do like the women's sevens. When I went to the sevens in Cape Town, I stuck around for the women's games because it just has a different dynamic to it because it has more space. Understand it's
Fair enough.
different because
Fair
it
enough.
just plays differently. But yeah, probably still in rugby, it's my sport. I don't care for much other sports, man.
Fair enough. Can't argue with you there. Okay, let's go back down under. Aaron Quinn has a question saying, do you think Sam Cane was a good choice for new All Black captain?
Okay, well, my initial thoughts were, look, a lot of guys said Kane isn't the best flanker. He isn't the best guy to. He's not the best guy in his position, so he shouldn't be playing as the captain. But I mean,
Yeah.
there's been this debate a lot. I mean, in South Africa, we've had that debate a couple of times with John Smith over Bismarck. We've had that debate before. We had Kulisi as well. A lot of people weren't happy with Kulisi because they said he wasn't the best guy in the position. There's better guys in the position.
Yeah.
So my first thought was, okay, you can't just say because he's not the best guy in the position, he shouldn't be there. It's about his leadership skills and the guy, how he brings them together and so on. But it doesn't sound like a lot of people are backing the guy either. So,
Definitely sounds that way.
yeah, because I mean, yes, Kulisi. There was some people that said he wasn't the best in the position, but a lot of people were like, yes, he's our captain. We're happy about him, stuff like that. So he got a lot of positivity from the one side, but it sounded like he's getting a lot of negative media attention and a lot of So I don't. At the moment, I think it's probably the wrong choice, but not for the reasons you think it is. I think he could have been the right pick, but from a national point of view in New Zealand, it doesn't look like anyone wants him there, which probably would affect him as a captain.
Yeah, I know. Thomas, sorry, I just want to give you, I do see your questions, bud, and we will get to them. You don't need to repeat them 5 times, but I will get to them. We're just finishing this one. Yeah, Sam Cane, on that one, I actually selected him as my thought before this, just from an experience point of view and all that stuff. But Scott Barrett was another one that came up. A lot of people, and I saw one year, Foo Fighters said, Artie Severe for All Black captain. I think tomorrow is going to be a very interesting, and if not one of the most important games for Sam Cane. Not tomorrow, on Sunday for the Crusaders, because he's back. It's an opportunity for him to really shine, and if he can take some sort of leadership in order to really take on the situation, we could definitely see people change their minds. Those who are negative over there in New Zealand, because if you could beat a team like the Crusaders, that's a good one to have on your resume.
Yeah, like I understand what you're saying, because look, what the guy is saying about Audi Surveyor as a captain, I would probably have went with him if you just say Audi Surveyor, but he hasn't captained much. I haven't seen him captaining much, so that's probably the one thing against him. Scott Barrett, he is really fighting against the other good locks in the team, so it's also not guaranteed that he gets the starting position, because I mean there's world-class locks in there, but then we get again to the space of he doesn't have to be the best guy to be the captain. So there's a couple of good guys to be the captain, so I think it's probably more guys are angry that their favorite player isn't the captain, that they are actually having a problem with Sam Cane being the captain. Hopefully he gets a good run at it. I do like Sam Cane. I mean, with him hurting his neck, I think he broke his neck.
He
and
did.
coming back from that, that shows character. That shows what the guy is made of. Understand? And that's the type of guy you want as a captain. So from that, I always used to like Cane. Before he was captain, I used to like him because he was a guy that broke his neck and still came back and is playing internationally. That's why I like him. I don't know what that makes him of a captain and what people are going to think of him, but I like him.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be interesting, and time will tell. Okay, let's finally get to Thomas's question before he sends 50 more. He's asked us, I think, mate, what? Oh no, wait, this is a new one. Who would have thought the Bokke might not play before the Lions tour? Gareth, did you think that so before COVID-19? Obviously not. I mean, we all thought this was going to be our dream tournament. The hype was big for this Lions tour. I mean, I was excited. I'm sure you were. I was actually thinking of traveling for the big games, just to.
I am going to still.
Yeah,
If it happens, I'm
I
going.
yeah. It's just an opportunity for us as content creators to really try and let's actually think of that if we actually do meet up for the games and do that, because that would be quite awesome
We'll
to
go to
interact with
Durban
our.
and watch the game together.
There we go. Because it'll be fun to create something like that. But I definitely want to do it. So yes. Well, firstly, no, I didn't think we would see it, but
No.
it's gonna be interesting. We'll see what the future holds for us. There you go. Went on and says, think Japan wing who played with the World Cup. With okay, so he's talking about if we bring the Japan wing in to play with Mapimpi or Cheslin Colby or Spoon Corsi would be a deadly combination. Full on that Japanese wing, I forgot his name, but he was remarkable in the
Tsushima.
tournament. There we go. You see, Mr. Statistics is over here. So, yeah, I think that would also be bloody good. And I can't argue with you there. A few guys are talking on Aaron Smith for captain. That's actually an interesting point there made by a few of you guys, because I've been very critical of Aaron Smith. I've favoured TJ Perenara quite a bit in the All Black squad, but for me in that game against the Chiefs when the Highlanders won, Aaron Smith's leadership stood out very clearly, and I said it on the 2 cents stream that we did. It was remarkable. He stood out and led from the front, and that was something I hadn't really picked up from him before, because I'm so used to Kieran Reid's leadership, the impact of Bowden Barrett. Before for Aaron to take control, I was really impressed with him. So I think that's also a fair debate to throw his name in the cap too, as well.
Yeah, I like Aaron Smith, but I think he is, as a player, losing a bit of ground to TJ. I think so. I actually prefer Aaron Smith to TJ Perenara. So
Really?
I think he's
I'm the
losing a
opposite.
bit of ground. I think TJ is catching up a little bit. But the thing that I think is weighing the most on Aaron Smith, I think he's now 31, 32 years old. I don't think he's going to be captain for the next World Cup.
And Sam Cane is 28, so he's still got a
something like that.
27, 28, so he's still got a few years in. There was an interesting comment here. Grant Swat says Sam Cane has been groomed to be the All Blacks captain since the McCaw days. Reid was just holding on to the captaincy until Kane was ready. I think that's actually quite a valid comment there, and I think there's a lot of truth in that about Sam Cane being a guy to be groomed in, and I think that was the case. For me, Kieran Reid was a good leader. I think a lot of people have been in debates with him. I've seen a few people go at him. I thought he was good, and I thought he took over from McCaw well. And I was sorry that he didn't get a World Cup trophy as captain, because his leadership was solid those 4 years after filling the shoes of a guy like Richie McCaw, who's the greatest rugby player in the world, bar none. So I think that's quite hectic. But I think Sam Cane is going to be interesting. Let's give him time. We can criticize who we want and who we would have preferred to have in all we like, but maybe after talking about that now, it's making me more excited for Sunday's game to see how he takes that leadership role of a very weak and hurt Chiefs team that should be the strong ones, and see how they play it along, and maybe they can form something big with it.
Yeah, I think all of us in this stream at the moment will probably focus a little bit more on Sunday on Sam Cane, just looking at his leadership skills. I think I'm probably going to be seeing how he gathers the group, how he talks to them, all that type of stuff. There's a lot of pressure on him. I think he has been groomed for it. They haven't made a secret of it. I think they've said it for a couple of years that he's probably the next captain, but time will tell.
Indeed, fully agree. Good evening, Mr. Heinrich. Welcome to the chat and the stream. Better late than never. The Secretary of State of this channel has arrived. Welcome. Andre Pollard here, welcome as well. Blizzard B has asked, SkinnyBru, where are you from? He's from Bloem. Stormer supporter, but lives in Bloemfontein. So awesome stuff. And it's good to have you on here. as we go, I'll keep it going for another whilst seems Heinrich is going. If you're good with that, Tian, on that one.
I'm good.
Um,
I'm good.
cool. Any other questions? Wait, here's another one. Do you think Super Rugby Aotearoa, hey, I said it not too bad then, that's not bad, will be
Yeah,
better
that was good.
for New Zealand game skills wise and financially? I think definitely. I think this is going to give them a great boost financially because they've got crowds firstly, and that's going to fill the stadiums, give these provincial teams a boost, and they're recapping maybe what they lost in the past. I think this is phenomenal for them, and that's why I think it's important we get something going so we can make up money as well.
Yeah, and it's showing us how important it is to actually show your content, show your games internationally. It's showing what Super Rugby could actually mean to the world if we did spread it around the world. I have said it before that if we wanted to do it on a annual basis, not just in this COVID time, we'd have to bring in probably a couple of international stars to get more attention from
Definitely.
Europe and so on. But they are getting the revenue, they're getting the skill level as well. I think even if they had to revert back to their normal laws in their rucks, this is
Yeah.
still very good for them. Their speed at the ruck is really good at the moment.
No, I agree. And it's going to be interesting with that. Who's that guy with you, man? It's a SkinnyBru Rugby. He's a fellow rugby YouTuber, also from South Africa. So if you don't know, go hit that. Go click on the. Actually, for those who don't know, go click on the links in the description. All his channel information and social medias are there. So go check him out. But as far as South Africa goes, I think it's going to be an interesting year ahead because I think we've been the main talk and hype because we're the world champions and how things are going to happen. So we've got a lot of pressure on our hands, and it's going to be interesting to see how new coach deals with it with the current team and how we can handle that pressure of being number one, being the world champs, and also the pressure of replicating what the All Blacks did, dominating that number one spot for actually 10 years. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure on South Africa.
I actually just thought of a question now. Right. So you know how the New Zealand competition started up and everyone was searching like who should I support, which team is the
Yes.
best, all that type of stuff. And basically the bandwagon team became the Blues because they haven't won in years and they have Barrett and they have Carter and that's basically
Yeah.
everyone's team. In South Africa's context, right? Who do you think would be the bandwagon team? Who's everyone going to support if they had to watch from any other country? I have a good feeling about this.
I think it's an interesting time for South African rugby and who we're going to see. But to be honest, and Heinrich is going to love this one, but the Bulls. I'm very nervous of this team. I think they are a force to be reckoned with what Jake White's doing behind the scene. Maybe not right now. So maybe not to answer that question. Not maybe not in this Super Rugby campaign that we're going to have, but next year I think this team is going to be a force and all that stuff. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that team's going to come about. But I don't know. Maybe Sharks because they were top of the log, so people would think, let's bandwagon on them. But yeah, it's
What
gonna
about the
be
Kulisi
interesting.
factor? What about the Kulisi
Stormers.
factor at the Stormers? It's a
That's
big
a,
factor. You
sorry,
can't
sorry.
discard that.
You've actually got a very good point, and I actually didn't even think of it like that, which is shocking. You're right. If the world comes on and watches a South African team going at it, Sia Khaleesi's team. Actually, I take back what I said. Stormers will be the team to watch because everyone will want to support Sia, his success story, what he's won, even what he's been doing in the COVID-19 pandemic. He's a legend. He's a hero. He's a role model. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You win that one.
we're gonna get a lot of fans. We're gonna get a lot of fans.
I think you're spot on actually. Because even today, with the whole Liverpool becoming the new Premier League champions, I saw a few comments on the groups and social media with Sia wearing his shirt and going, yeah, and everyone's like, the captain has spoken, we've got to respect Liverpool now. And with people saying that and crediting Sia with the photos with Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, and everyone's getting hyped and all that stuff. Thank you, Luke, for that super sticker. It's spot on, and you've actually got it. You hit the nail on the head, and I can't believe I didn't think of that. But Sia is the king indeed.
Yeah, I think he would get a lot of fans into the Stormers. He would just like send out an Instagram and tell the world like, guys, I play for the Stormers, please support us. And then everyone would be like,
the world
okay.
would do it. Stormers merchandise will come up, and Sia's merchandise for Sia Khaleesi Foundation will grow. And I think it would be definitely a spot. I can't believe that when you said it, the Sia factor. This is going to be big for Stormers Rugby, and it's a pity we don't have a crowd, man, because he is
if we could get crowds in, right?
He's the
Cape
face.
Town is already a visited place. People already go to Cape Town. If crowds could come in, and people were like, I've been saving money for a couple of months now. I might fly to Cape Town for a couple of games.
I mean, when we go back in time and look at what the World Cup touring did when they were the trophy tour, I mean, everyone was talking, I want to see Sia, I need to see Sia, Sia this, Sia that. When he came to the Eastern Cape, which is obviously his hometown, I mean, Zwede went berserk for the man. I mean, obviously, he's like the king there. But even in PE, the places were electric. I mean, I stood at the airport waiting for them because I thought this would be my best opportunity to try and see something. For 3.5 hours, I was late for a braai, and I thought, no, I'm not missing this opportunity. I didn't get to see a single guy because the crowds were so mad for Sia. It was like everyone's like, Sia this, Sia name, but Sia. I mean, me, I go and buy the shirt that had my number on because I want that number 6 for Sia. So
yeah,
from a marketing point of view, it should be interesting, and I think it's Jeepers, you heard it here first. SkinnyBru Rugby says that the Stormers are going to be the X Factor team that the world's going to support. So you should claim from merchandise from the Stormers 10%. You'd be rich like that in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I just promoted it.
Yeah, there we go. But it's interesting. Do you think Stormers will like playing in Cape Town? Oh, this is a tough one. Like playing in Cape Town Stadium, will they get a big crowd? You're a Stormer, I'll let you take this one.
I don't think they'll like it as much as they like playing in Newlands. Grant will agree with me here. He's a big Stormers fan as well. But the Cape Town Stadium is an amazing stadium, right? It is a world-class stadium. They will get used to it. They will get big crowds. I mean, Newlands is 80% full on a regular basis for normal games. So I think they'll still attract big crowds. They have a lot of public transport going to Cape Town Stadium, trains and buses and stuff like that. It's a safer place to go to a stadium as well. So I think they would get crowds, but it's not Newlands. It's not their home.
It's a tough one. I mean, I'm biased towards Newlands as well because I watched my first game in Cape Town was at Newlands, and it was a remarkable time and learning there. So it's sad that they've lost it, but if they can work it out, it's the same thing with Port Elizabeth. I mean, when we lost Port Erasmus to the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, we made it work. Fortunately for the Kings, being a smaller team, it hasn't really been that successful. But for the Stormers, it's a different story. I mean, Cape Town's a beautiful city that can grow and create something phenomenal. And I mean, it is, whether you like it or not, a great big stadium. And Blizzard B has often made comments on the channel saying he could never get SA tickets to the All Blacks game because of the competition being so much All Black support over in Cape Town. Now, having a bigger stadium, he's got the opportunity to buy tickets and watch games. So from that point of view, which I never even thought of, is a good thing. So hopefully we can see these guys have an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bigger stadium, it's a safer stadium. So football teams do it all the time. I think if the Stormers wasn't in that stadium for such a long time, it wouldn't have been such a big issue. But it's just the history and the heritage that is keeping them there. And it is an important factor. It is a very important factor. But honestly, with what everything that's happening with the Newlands Stadium at the moment, I'm just reading headlines at the moment. Every day it's a new story, a new investor coming in, a new guy
Yeah.
suing a new guy. So I'm just reading
I've
headlines at the moment because
Yeah,
every
me
day it's a
too.
new story.
I'm not even bothering going in. First day up for grabs or not. I'm fully on you over there. Guys, as we get towards, sheesh, we've been on this for an hour and a half. Cheapest time's phone. Um, get some questions in for myself and SkinnyBru so we can discuss as we go on. Obviously, pertaining to whatever thoughts you're thinking overseas and southern, northern, Super Rugby, South Africa, whatever type of thing, and get them flying, and we'll get as much as we can. But it's going, yeah, rugby's interesting sport, and it's going to be interesting to see how South Africa adapts with the new ways. Chester says, I would love to watch the Springboks in the new Cape Town Stadium. I think it would be a match. If it's sold out, it's going to be loud. I mean, Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium sold out is the most unbelievable experience I've ever experienced. So, and I've been to Newlands full too, but there's something about with the dome type thing, the sound generates and moves around, and it's even louder. It's like the Millennium Stadium when the roofs are glass. It gives an opportunity. So I think Cape Town Stadium could do a good job, good job there. So yeah, I think it could be a good
What
one.
international stadium would you want to visit? Like, which one
My
would you
dream
really
one.
Yeah.
I've got two, and probably actually first Murrayfield, Scotland, because just of my heritage history there. I would love to go watch there, and I'd love to watch Wales, South Africa, closed roof at the Principality Stadium, Millennium
Yeah.
Stadium. I think that would be. My dad's one friend said he watched it there when the anthems were going. He said he's not a crier at these type of events. He said he was in tears because just the power of the crowd and the electricity around was just absolutely amazing. So those were my two. What would you? Whose would yours be?
Look, I have two options, but they're for completely different reasons. For rugby itself, I'd go to Twickenham. It's a
Twickenham?
legendary
Yeah,
stadium.
of
I'd
course, of
have to
course.
go there. For my other interest in engineering and that stuff, I'd have to go to the Singapore Stadium, and it looks
Oh wow.
amazing. But
Yeah.
that's just my other interest. That's just what I really love, how the stadium looks. But I'd really love to go into those two stadiums if I could.
Nothing wrong with that. Right, we have a few questions here. Okay, where is it? I like it when you guys got question colons because then I can point it out better. Right, here's one from Chester again. What do you think will become of Jaguars in Argentina? Yeah, I think they're gone,
Good.
sadly.
Not good.
Um,
Not good.
I think I would hope they would be part of the Curry Cup just to keep a flow going. But as far as Super Rugby is going to be, they're gone. And when I say they're gone, I'm not saying it's guaranteed or official. It's just because all the guys are going overseas and they're not going to be able to fill a team. And when they do get a team of Argentines, they'll be young and they're going to get smashed, sadly, like they were at the start. So we're unfortunately going backwards. But it's sad because they were great. The Jaguars really shone and were a great success story. As for Argentina, I think they're still there. I don't think they're going anywhere as of this stage.
Look, the Jaguares, they lost Petty in this week. They lost Montoya, and then Gonzalez as well, which is a
Boom.
youngish guy coming through. Three big names to lose in 1 week. Then they already lost Buffelli as well. So, and I think they lost Miotti as well. So it's big names that they're losing. So if they do stay in the Super Rugby, we're not going to see the same team that we're used to. So I think they're probably going to stay in the Super Rugby. I think if they do stay in the Super Rugby, it might not be because they want to. It might because they have this
Contract.
contracts and that type of stuff. But I think we might see a second string team. As for Argentina, I think it won't affect them too much. I think they'll have to get used to. I think they might get a 6-month period or so where they have to get used to having guys flying in the whole time again and not playing together.
Yeah.
But I think they'll be fine because I mean they're used to now at the moment playing basically together the whole time. So that might affect them, but they're still good enough. They still have good enough players. So yeah.
Great. Joshua says, what country do you guys see as the next big thing? Probably meaning what rugby do we see coming up? But let's go with the Minnow Nations. Who do you think is going to be the next big thing? I'm going to take a wild one and go with the USA.
You keep taking the ones I want to
Oh,
take.
really? No, they take it. It's fine. Well, then we're in agreement with the one team.
Yeah, I think the USA is going to go big because they are getting their marketing strategies better now.
Agreed.
They are getting that right. But I just love to see the Pacific nations to get in. But
I agree. Fair enough.
I've been looking at Brazil. And they look like they might be coming up. I don't think they're going to be a next big thing as in the next 5-10 years, maybe next 15 or so. They might be something.
Yeah, it's going to take time. Thomas says, yeah, I bunked school to see Sia. Failed my exam the next day. It was worth it. Sia is my inspiration. Fair enough. I probably would have done the same if it was an opportunity to see a hero. Who was your rugby inspiration? Okay, mine was Brayton Paulser. Funny enough, my favourite rugby player growing up was Brayton Paulser, a Western Province boykie, and I am a Sharks supporter. Brayton Paulser and again another, I don't support the Bulls, but yet US van der Westhuizen. Those two were my heroes in rugby growing up. I mean, there's so many. But if I have to outline, Brayton Paulser was a hero. And then older days, Sarah Pretorius, always rated him. Who was your childhood hero growing up?
I think I had a lot. They used to, all of them used to be Stormers though. I was very loyal to my team. Very loyal.
Shots fired, Gareth. There we go.
I'm a huge John de Villiers fan. I always have been. The thing about John de Villiers that I was a huge fan about was his injuries that I told you with Sam Cane as well. He got the big injuries, fought back, even though someone told him, listen, you're not going to play again. Fought back, came back, got another injury setback, literally in the same game he got back. Fought back again a year later, stood up again, played again. But that's probably not my childhood. But yeah, he was one of my big heroes that actually meant something. That wasn't just, oh, I like him scoring a lot of tries, you know.
If they mean something, that's a hero in my eyes. I mean, that's the thing. Heinrich says, I would like to see a 5-team Argentinian team Super Rugby with all clubs merging into a central franchise type team. That's a very good, interesting point. That's something I haven't really thought of. It's something that could be interesting to see because there are so many Argentinian rugby players playing overseas. If they could figure out something and bring something in Argentina, they could definitely force something out, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. The one thing that is a big issue in Argentina, though, is money. So basically one of the first things that was assessed when they got into Super Rugby is whether they could have 2 teams. And then at that moment, it was like, no, we can actually just afford 1 team. We can actually just support 1 team. But granted, they did basically pay for their best players in the whole country. So they could probably split the money up a little bit and make 5 franchises. I think they'd be very good. I mean, I love their rugby. It's very good rugby they have.
Okay, last one, and then I'm going to give one question to you because I have to end off with it. Gareth and SkinnyBru, what do you think of Rico playing at centre instead of wing?
Rico Ioane, he's been good.
He's a good player.
Good.
Always
at the
rated him
Blues,
highly.
at the start when they moved into center, I thought, I don't know how this is going to work because he's a bit of a selfish player. He doesn't pass. He doesn't pass ever when he was
Yeah.
at the wing. But now he's developed. He still doesn't pass. Don't get me wrong. He still doesn't pass, but he's developed a very dangerous offload, and that's setting up guys. So guys like Clark looks very dangerous. Talia looks very dangerous, but I think that is because of Rico Ioane at number 13. You can't take away from what he is doing. He's beating defenders, going over the gain line. Very good.
Fair enough. Can't argue there. All right, and then my final one is for you. Do you think, you've seen 2 cents and myself create one, do you think an American punter, a football punter, can play rugby? Because apparently he claims he can. So what is your take being a South African rugby fan?
No ways, man. No ways.
Oh man, that was hilarious.
There and kicks it. Unless he plays like me. Gets the ball. If someone comes to you, kick it away or pass. That's what you have to. Don't get hit. But I can't see. I mean, he's a punter. His job isn't to even kick to get points. His job is to kick for distance, which is important in rugby. But you get guys kicking back at you, which isn't a factor in NFL or whatever other league he plays in, which is apparently not the top league. It's like a second string type of league.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I did watch the couple of videos and I was like, no, there's too much things that you have to change. The skill set you need, how the game develops, all that stuff. But just ignoring all of that, no, you're a kicker. Maybe if you were a big guy that could slot in the lock or something like that, yes. No, I don't think so.
Joshua says, I had a few guys from the local American football club come to our rugby training and they loved it. I think they could definitely play the sport, don't get me wrong, but don't claim you're going to be great. It's almost like a Springbok or a All Black claiming they're going to be awesome at American football. I think the fact of the matter is both sports are completely different. Both sports tackle in different ways, actually. In certain instances, the American football guys tackle even harder than rugby with the height and the way they're flatten. Hence why they have to wear the head masks or the head gears and all that jazz. It's very dangerous.
It has hard contact. I love watching it as well off the highlight reels. I'm not that into it, but I like seeing the big hits and that stuff. So that is big. But the thing what I'm disagreeing with is he's saying he'll dominate the sport. Dominate the sport as in be an all black type of no, you're not gonna. I doubt you're gonna. I think he's already too old to get into a position to dominate it one day as well. Maybe if he was like a 23-year-old, which is very good in NFL and gave himself time to dominate it one day, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt, but no. And it's just a punter.
That's the thing. Well, Ryan says, I still remember at the Sevens rugby around 2 years ago, the USA were in the semi-finals, and there was the one man who bounced everyone. It was unreal. And I think that's the thing. They do have guys who can do it. And this is why you and I both said USA being an upcoming team is because they have the potential. They have big guys who could play rugby. If they just invest their money the right ways, we could see USA come up. They're not going to be the All Blacks. It's going to take forever for them to become All Black or the Springboks. But I think they, at least our next comment's good, I'll read that now. I think they will be something special in a unique way for the Tier 2 nations that could create a bit of havoc. I mean, look at USA in sevens. Who would have thought they would have won the Odd Sevens tournament? I mean, they've done that. They've been in the finals. They've really grown up. Why? Because they were given the opportunity. They were given the exposure. And this is what we've all been arguing about the global game, is giving opportunity to these Tier 2 nations so that they can do something and grow and get better in the games, because it's only going to be better for the sport of rugby, in my humble opinion. Okay, I want to read Heinrich's before we sign off. Only thing he will dominate on rugby is being an overpaid water boy. I think that is just classic. And what a way to end off with Heinrich's. I'm sure. Any final things from you, Tian, before we sign off?
No, man, I just always enjoy chatting to you. It's just fun to me chatting to you. I think someone said in the beginning, why is it so awkward? I think it's that awkward because it's literally to me a chilled chat. It's not something, it's not rehearsed. I don't think people get it that we don't have a script or something like that. We literally are sitting here chatting about rugby, and it's just fun.
We literally do, and that's the thing. I mean, conversations always start, and I think the same thing. I mean, with me and Squidge, I mean, you got to start somewhere. Same thing with 2 Cents. We spoke for 10 minutes, less actually, before the stream actually started. So then we have to think of how we're going to start. And luckily, Andrew came on to talk about the rugby game, and then the flow starts. So yes, it gets awkward. But like you said, we've got we're rugby talkers. We think of things and look at that. What was 2 minutes in that time is now an hour and 41 minutes later. So yeah, that's a good one.
At least this is less awkward than sitting in a room talking to a camera on your own, which we do most days.
And I mean, crikey, it really is. That's why I can't vlog. And I give 2 Cents Rugby credit for doing his videos on in the grounds in front of everyone. That's something I need to still learn on, because jeepers, I don't have the encouragement to do that. Because if I hear people walking outside my room, I have to pause. I don't like people listening to me, even though I've got thousands of people watching every now and then. It's just crazy. Or 22 or 30 at one stage now. It's just crazy. But yeah, let's just sign off with a few comments here. LB, sorry bud, you have missed the whole thing. We are been on this for hour and 41 minutes. We've had a good stream, but definitely you can catch us. We will do this again. That's a fact. We will join each other one day soon again. To everyone who's joined us, who's commented, thanks for all the interactions. Grant, I mean, Thomas, who's repeated himself a few times, but we have seen you, buddy. And we did notice Nathan, Blizzard, Heinrich, the secretary of this channel. I'm going to call you the Secretary of State of Walking Towards You, man. But yeah, it has been awkward, and it's been awkward. I read the comment and now I'm saying awkward. It has been great, not awkward.
Yeah.
LB says sounds like I missed an awkward first date. No, it was awesome.
Man,
Thanks, guys.
You don't talk about rugby on your first date. You don't talk about rugby on your first date. That's a rule. Don't do it. They don't like it.
Well, if you do, and if you do chat to her, if she brings it up, you've got a phenomenal lady. That's one thing I can tell you. So well done to whoever can get that right. Guys, thanks so much for joining. We appreciate all the support. And like I said, go click on the links down below. All SkinnyBru Rugby's details are there. Go subscribe to his channel. Go check him out. He's a legend and he's doing great work, and go show that support. For those who don't know, tomorrow I'll be streaming the Blues taking on... Who they're playing again? I've freaking forgotten. I've gone blank.
They're playing the Highlanders.
Blues Highlanders tomorrow. Sorry, man. They are playing, and we'll be streaming that one. Keepers, it's been a long, busy day. But so join me for that. SkinnyBru, thank you so much, buddy, for joining. It has been awesome, and we will definitely catch up soon. To all of you guys, stay safe and never give up. We'll chat soon. Cheers, guys.